Hello, happy Sunday to everybody. Thanks for, if you're watching this instead of whatever else you'll be doing on Sunday, thanks very much. Alternatively, I'll be sharing this around to people who, our target audience, perhaps people who are looking for jobs. So the announcements, there's three parts to it. So firstly, we're recruiting for two positions in the company, a recruitment director and a regional director. And secondly, I want to talk about what it's like to work in the Madian Group, so that perhaps you have a better idea before before I show you the careers page and you submit the application. And then finally, just talking about Made Futures, a project we're involved in, and how that's going to help solve some of the skills shortage and help people back into jobs during 2021. So if I start off with the two jobs that we are advertising. So these are the two jobs on the Made in Yorkshire website. They're also Made in the Midlands website as well. So if you want to know where that is, just go to madeinyorkshire.com or madeinthemidlands.com. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see a careers link. If you click on that, the jobs are actually listed, and you can apply for those jobs using the website. So just have a scroll down, there's a detailed job description, and you can upload your CV and hit the apply button. So just starting with the regional director of Made in Yorkshire. So obviously Made in Yorkshire, we had a fantastic guy who was a regional director for a while. And unfortunately, he emigrated to Norway just before the pandemic started. So it's unfortunate timing for everybody in that respect. But it's really important that we get somebody really good that can represent Yorkshire, that can not only engage with the current members, but also help us recruit new members. It's really important the person understands the Yorkshire region. Ideally, they would be from Yorkshire, and certainly, live in the area. I think we need to be local. So it's an important role for the strategy of the group as well. Obviously, we have Made in the Midlands. Made in Yorkshire was our first attempt at doing something outside of the Midlands. It's been hugely successful. Yorkshire companies have really been supportive of what we've tried to do. We've organised lots and lots of events in Yorkshire. And the whole team is really proud of what we've achieved there. So it's important that we get the right person, and that person really can live and breathe the Yorkshire membership model and become a go-to person within that community. Secondly, we've got a recruitment director. Now, we've never done this before. This is a completely new role. So the recruitment director, what is that? We've launched a project called Made Futures. Made Futures is something innovative in the recruitment space. It's not a recruitment agency. It's a free jobs board for all members to advertise and promote their job opportunities. Obviously, you already know, if you're a member, that you get a microsite. From March, you'll have a careers tab that will be added to that microsite, and you'll be able to post job adverts on there for free. All of those jobs get aggregated and added to a central jobs board called Made Futures. Now, this is a really great way for you to advertise for people in the relevant market space without necessarily having any costs. So because of the speed that we need to recruit at a firm in 2021, it's really important that we can remove some of those bottlenecks and help people back into jobs really quickly. I think all we really want is for the companies that make those recruitments to sort of pledge that they will allow us to write a case study afterwards, because we're really keen to promote that. I've just realised my screen share is not actually showing, so I'm just going to remove that from the screen. That must seem a bit odd, just looking at a tiny postage stamp photograph of myself. So these two jobs are really crucial to the success of the business. We, during the pandemic, lost a few people, so we furloughed most of our sales team, and some of them didn't come back because we terminated their employment, and a few of them decided that they would seek employment elsewhere, perhaps in a different type of role. So, but we have got this really talented core team, and it's a really good team and some really good people working at the Madian Group. So we're looking now to add in some real quality and grow the business. So I just sort of move on to the next thing, which is, what is it like to work in the Madian Group? What's the environment? What's the office like? That sort of thing. So like a lot of service-based companies, we've been working predominantly using a digital HQ. So we've been working from home on Zoom, Google Meet, those type of applications. We did have an office in Leeds, around Foundry, which is a great office centre of Leeds. In fact, only just before the pandemic, we actually increased the size of our office, and that really sort of demonstrates the fact the company was growing. We've grown every year for 10 years in a row. We've grown the business, and last year was the only year that we had this sort of huge setback. So the digital part of what we do has continued to grow. We've had lots of new member signups. However, the exhibition side of things obviously took a massive hit because all of those events were stopped. And we're growing the business in a sort of more of a digital way going forward, and more of a social way. So more social events once this pandemic is over. So what is it like to work at the company? So we've just, if I start with the Birmingham office, we was at the Birmingham Science Park. We handed in our notice for that office, and we're fortunate we found a property in the Jewellery Quarter in Birmingham, which is fantastic. Anybody who knows that area, it's a fantastic location. Probably one of the most prestigious areas in Birmingham, close to one of the last Georgian squares in the city. So we've bought a leasehold. It's 125 years lease, so that's a big pledge, a big commitment in the long-term future of the company. And a lot of what we have done this year, last year, the years before, it's about the long-term success of the business. I mean, we want to be here, in decades to come, and that will only happen with an investment strategy that sort of thinks that far ahead. So we're moving into this new office in Birmingham. I've got the plans from our interior designer. So I don't know if you can really see that, but we're trying to sort of have a focus on mental wealth. So as part of the office, we're going to be designing a VR meditation pod, some breakout spaces. Obviously, we're going to space people out because of the pandemic at the moment, and move people into bubbles. So not everybody will be working all at the same time. And it's our hope to get back into an office environment very, very soon, because I don't think that working from home in the long term is the best strategy, especially for younger people. I think perhaps some of the older people who perhaps they like this way of working, they like the flexibility of this, then great, that's one way of doing things, and perhaps there'll be a hybrid type of work environment in the future. But I think certainly for younger people, I really think they need that sort of social interaction, and an office environment is really good for that. The office evolved to serve a purpose, so I don't think that purpose has been replaced. So we definitely look forward to be back in a sort of a structured environment. So the office in Birmingham is sorted, and we'll be moving in hopefully in the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks. In terms, when I say moving, it will be we'll be decorating it and making it a functional space in the next 2 to 3 weeks. In terms of moving back there permanently, that really depends on the government guidelines, so we'll keep a very close eye on that. But in the meantime, the digital HQ concept, it's not been a disaster. It's worked. It's not my preferred way of doing things, but we're in a much better position than a lot of people in a lot of countries. We've got good internet infrastructure in this country. We've been able to do a lot of things that perhaps we couldn't have done perhaps 5 or 10 years ago. So the Yorkshire office, moving on to the Yorkshire model, that's a little bit different. So we had this office in Round Foundry. We've not been able to access it. We obviously our regional director went to Norway. So we've been trying to build that up strategically. We started with our digital content specialist, Joe, and we've relocated Joe to Leeds. So he actually lives in Leeds now. He was living in Birmingham, originally from Leicester, and we were very grateful for him agreeing to do that. So he's our first, secondment, I guess. And the second thing is we need to have this person who's locally boots on the ground, and we're looking at new offices. But then I was having a chat with a few people in the company, and we thought it'd be quite a quirky approach if we actually invited some of the members from Yorkshire, and we've got over 100 of them, some really good companies, if they would be interested in actually facilitating the Made in Yorkshire HQ in their premises. And we know a lot of them have got the space. So that's something I'm looking at. We definitely prefer to be West Yorkshire, and obviously we can work this way for quite quite a while still, the digital HQ working from home. But the long-term strategy, I think, has got to be to get back into this structured environment, and then sort of moving on to the Made Futures project. So the Made Futures project, which the the recruitment director role would be involved in, is this jobs board, and the recruitment director's job is to actually get members to post those job opportunities onto those jobs board, to get the case studies after people have recruited, and to help us recruit new members. And obviously, as part of membership going forward in March, they can now advertise these jobs for free. It's not the main benefit of Made In Group, but it's certainly a massive benefit, new benefit in terms of what's the current jobs crisis. I think furlough ends in the end of April. I have to check my figures, but I think a total of 9.5 million people have been furloughed at some point or another, and I'm pretty certain that there's still 4 million people on furlough. And if those numbers are correct, plus obviously the people who have been made redundant, we have got this sort of we might well be at the start of a jobs problem rather than at the end of it. And if that is the case, and I think manufacturing companies can step forward, can step in to help plug some of those gaps. For a long time, manufacturing companies have probably not been seen as the #1 career choice. But if you look at the performance of manufacturing and you compare that side by side with other sectors, you realise manufacturing has actually been the most stable employer. So although it's not been immune to this, it's been pretty robust. So we think and we expect to see people actually take more of an interest in manufacturing careers, whether that be sort of from the university or the vocational aspect of perhaps looking at those jobs, giving them more priority, or just simply reskilling, or just making sure that they're staying in the vocation, staying in the sector. So it's pretty good news, I think, for manufacturing generally in terms of the reposition of the jobs focus. And if you think that we're leaving the EU and we haven't got this easy access to EU workers, then the timing of actually people valuing manufacturing as a career, it's probably never been more important. So those are the updates in terms of what we're doing. So we've got 2 new job adverts posted on the Made In website. Regional director who will be based in West Yorkshire, a recruitment director that will probably be based in Birmingham, but they don't necessarily need to be. But obviously we have the office there, so it sort of makes sense. And then sort of just a final thought, this is more something that we're doing in the future, so there's no way I can actually direct you to at the moment, but we're looking to replicate some of the ideas of the FSB. So they have this sort of freelance sales advisor, membership advisor model. And there is a trend, I feel, with people wanting more flexibility, and particularly in the older market. So I'm looking at people perhaps who are over the age of 50 who perhaps want this flexibility, and they're not really, they could be left behind if we're not careful. So there's a lot of focus on younger people because they're badly affected, but then this over 50 bracket are in a really similar position because, perhaps, that when you're employed as an older person, it might be more difficult to get back into the role. So we're looking at these membership advisors where people can work in a self-employed basis, maybe 2 or 3 days a week, or maybe they could do another job and they've got that as supplementary income. Or they enjoy the flexibility of working from home, and these positions will be advertised in the next couple of months, or possibly we'll wait until the Made Futures virtual exhibition, which starts at the end of March. So that's it. Thanks very much for tuning in, and if you are interested, just visit the website madeinthemidlands.com, madeinyorkshire.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and then you'll see that careers link. So have a good evening, everybody, and have a good week next week.